So this was what I was planning to do. I was planning to start off with the boys because that's a topic that is near and dear to my heart, as you all know. So there was, and basically everybody who talks about the boys just talks shit about the comic, which you all know my opinion on that. It's not true. So the only person I saw on YouTube that talked positively about the boys was this guy. Can you see the icon? Just Stop is his name, and he basically did a review of one of those the comic the show is better than the comic style videos. Did a really great job, so I wanted to share it all with you. So your laptop is facing the keyboard. I can see the keyboard. Okay, what keyboard? Exactly what keyboard are we talking about? Didn't. Uh, what keyboard are we talking about? Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, right. So yeah, I can. So why does that look? Why does that look like? What is going on there? Oh God, what have I done? What the hell? What the hell have I done? What the hell have I done? Have I started? Have I gone out? I can't see anybody. Fuck! Fuck! What the hell have I done? Yep, but now I've lost. Thank you very much, but now I've lost chat. I can't see what anybody's saying. Okay, so if everybody can still see and hear, but I can't talk to any of you, I can't see any of you, so what the hell just happened? Live chat. What's Okay, I can't see chat anymore. What the hell have I done? Maybe try restarting the stream. Oh God, I don't want to restart the stream and lose everything. Okay. God, I'm such an idiot. I'll get the hang of this eventually. Maybe next time I try this, it'll be a far more pleasant experience. Can't see the chat. Exactly. Okay, so can't see the chat interface. You're on the voice chat toggle screen. Okay, so let's see, content, live, and click on your live stream. This opens the control panel. Right, so the only way I can think to do this is by actually going on the video itself, like I'm watching the video, and I can see the chat here. So, okay, so right, so the only way I can think to do this is by actually going on the video itself, like I'm watching the video, and I can see the chat here, but I can't see it. And now I'm hearing myself
So, okay,
being
so right,
talked
so
back. The only way I can think to do this is by actually going on the video itself, like I'm watching the video, and I can see the chat here, but I can't see it. And now I'm hearing myself
so okay,
being
so right,
talked
so
back. The only way I can think to do this is by actually going on the video itself, like no, I can't do that because now I just hear myself being talked back to. Okay, so okay, manage streams. Let's see, okay, okay, I can see the chat again. Thank God. Okay, now the only problem is how do we get rid of this laptop bit so that I can share, so that I can share Windows full screen preview display. Nope. So, okay, how do I share? So, what the hell is this? Why does it look like my laptop screen is? Okay, so how do I add? Full screen preview, screenshot, add. Okay, add. Media source? Window capture? Can I add window capture? Select a window to capture. Just stop. There we go. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so I'm gonna shrink myself to here and expand that like, oh, like so. How do I layer? Layering. Okay, I can't layer them. Okay, I'm not gonna faff about anymore. We're just gonna have to deal with this being slightly smaller, but I hope you can all see it and see me at the same time. Here we go. That's gonna have to do. I think that'll do well enough. Okay, so hopefully we can now hear it fine. So I'm going to just just go into his, so there we go. Okay, so where is it? There we go. Oh, oh, okay, okay. We've actually got a
The
new
thing about
one.
the
We've got a new one. So what I want to know is, what I want to know now is, can you guys hear him?
boys is that it's punk rock, and it hurts extra hard when punk rockers sell out. I'm really working hard not to sell out. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that checks out. Hi there, everyone. Local the Boys Comic Defender here. And hey, would you look at that? My schedule's opened up between having bad takes and laughing at homeless people. You guys want to hear me trash on the show for the next 26 minutes?
Yes, yes. Okay, we're in business. I think we're all sorted. Finally, I don't want to touch. I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to touch anything. We're just we're just gonna hope that this goes okay. So we're gonna watch this. So this wasn't the one I planned on watching, but this is a new one. So he basically goes into, essentially, this is more of a show based thing. So I'm gonna just go back to the beginning and we're gonna enjoy this together. And I'm gonna talk about why the show isn't as good as people think it is. And now I actually have backup.
The thing about the boys is that it's punk rock, and it hurts extra hard when punk rockers sell out. I'm really working hard not to sell out. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that checks out. Hi there, everyone. Local the Boys Comic Defender here. And hey, would you look at that? My schedule's opened up between having bad takes and laughing at homeless people. You guys want to hear me trash on the show for the next 26 minutes? Great, I knew you would. But okay, seriously, what are we doing here? Well, as you might be aware if you keep up with my community posts, which you probably don't, because you're a functioning member of society, I've been meaning to do a thorough deep dive into the boys ever since the 4th season dropped back in July? Jesus, I've been slacking like that, but I've had some projects that have gotten in the way and are honestly still in the way as I'm recording this video.
Okay, so some people are asking for a Q&A. I was thinking of asking a few questions, but again, this is, you guys are here too. So so is there anything you would particularly like to talk about? Anybody? I think we've got a little bit of a delay in the chat there. I'll just keep playing this unless somebody else. Okay, Young Justice. No, I'm not talking about Young Justice at the moment. Star Wars, I'll be opening to talking about. What other comics do you read besides The Boys? Well, I read a lot of Garth Ennis, for example. Dangerous Habits, absolutely the best one. The one where John Constantine tricks the devil into curing his cancer, which is absolutely the best one ever. So if we want, let's see. I think I can have a Q&A. Start a Q&A. Okay. Say something. Start a Q&A. Oh, don't even know what that was about. So does I want to see the okay? I'm gonna start a poll. I'm gonna start a poll. So, what should we? Basically, just what should we do? Why is it giving me a yes and no option? Okay, just ignore the yes no options. Okay, talk the boys. Huh. Talk other comics. comics. Okay, this poll, no, I can't give it poll. So, why do you watch some commentary channels that don't understand comics? I generally lost interest in commentary. Um, I think there are obviously there are commentary channels that don't understand comics. I don't think this one's it. I think he has a pretty solid take on the boys, especially the show. But um so yep. So in my opinion, Garth Ennis is a fantastic writer, but he needs to kick his toilet humor addiction. Yeah, that's perfectly valid. I do completely understand why a lot of people are just put off by Ennis. It can definitely happen. It's it's a problem that that I myself have struggled with, but I think most of the time his humor, it doesn't really get in the way of the story. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd say that his humor, at least for me, is something you need to get past. But he's also Irish, and Irish people do tend to have they do tend to have a similar sense of humor to Scottish people and other British people, but it also does tend to be a bit more crude, I'd say. There's actually a little channel I watch called Sergeant Ducky. It's basically one of those animation channels, and he just basically tells stories about his life, and they are very funny. They're not, but they are a little bit raunchy and not on Garth Ennis level at all. But I think if you understand the humor, even if you don't like it, you can get past it. So let's see. Do you watch Doctor Who? Not anymore. No, I watched Doctor Who was kind of a child thing for me. I watched the it when New Who started. My dad was a fan when he was a kid, and my mum wasn't. She didn't like it. She also said she found it quite scary. She thought the Daleks were really scary. So when New Who started, I was watching it. I loved Christopher Eccleston, loved David Tennant. When Matt Smith started, I think I watched his first season, maybe the other ones. I don't think he was bad. I just didn't fall in love with him as the Doctor. I watched Peter Capaldi's first season. Again, I watched Jodie Whittaker's first season. I didn't watch the new one. I just think my love of Doctor Who is kind of in the past. So the boys and Preacher are great, but it's hard to sell them. Totally true. Totally true. I think for especially a normal audience, he can be a little bit hard to swallow. The comic is great. Didn't like the show because it's realistic in an unrealistic way. Huey looks like someone from Best Buy or 7-Eleven. Don't get why he survives Homelander. Yeah, the realism in the show, I don't get why people call it grounded, gritty, and realistic. It's not. It simply is not. And the thing is, I find the comic so much more realistic. And that's something I'll go into with the other videos I make. It's just the way Garth Ennis paints the world, especially with all the dodgy things that are going on in the world right now. Yeah, just read the comic and see what happens in that. See what the powerful people do. See what the companies do. See how everybody is treated. And yeah, seriously, you will be surprised at how prophetic that comic is and how much it lines up with the things we're seeing in the news today. And I'm also pretty pissed off with the fact that Huey wasn't Scottish because Christ forbid there only be one American on the team. But I think that actually affects MM's character more than it does Huey's. But I'll save that for my videos. Makes sense. He's really into gallows humor. Yep. I stayed through, and Doctor Who has stayed through Moffat's era at this point. I feel obligated to stick with it. Fair enough. I know this is off topic, but I'm curious which version of Dick Grayson is the least accurate: Teen Titans or Young Justice? Teen Titans, Young Justice, or Titans? I'd say if do you mean the animated Teen Titans show? If that's the case, then definitely, then that's definitely the best one. I think the least accurate is probably Titans. That was terrible. At least Young Justice got its first season was fine, but even though I was not a fan of the animated series, and a lot of people do say that the Robin in there is kind of an amalgamation of Robins. I actually, as a New Teen Titans fan, disagree with that. I disagree with that hugely because the thing is about Dick Grayson, he's been kind of flanderized in recent years. Like he's just kind of like the happy one, which he's so not that. He is happy. He does have stable relationships. He is a bright spark in the Bat family, but he has his temper. He has his issues. He can be kind of selfish at times. He snaps at people. Like if you read the new Teen Titans, the animated Teen Titans Dick Grayson is actually it's actually pretty accurate to his character. So I'd say most accurate animated Teen Titans, least accurate Titans. Sholax. Is the boys comic really good? Yes, it is absolutely very, very good. You do have to get past a lot of Garth Ennis's humor. Some people find it funny. Some people do genuinely find it funny. It has its fans. I'm not one of them in terms of the humor. Love everything else about the comic, but the the plot, the themes, the messages, the characters, all top tier. Garth Ennis is just if there's something that man can do, it's right. So what bugs me is that they had Simon Pegg and had him do an American rather than a Scottish accent. Yes, if you had to have Huey be American, you just simply had to do that. Why not get Simon Pegg, the literal person that Huey was modeled after in the comic, to to be Scottish? Again, yeah, good comment. Well, very good. Let's see. When Jason Todd seems to have more fun than Dick Grayson, something seems off. Yes. Comic Young Justice versus show isn't even close for me. Comic wins. Yep, absolutely. New Teen Titans is my aside from Hellblazer, it's my favorite long running comic book series. Boys Show lost its spark. It uses its lore to distort it for capitalism and consumerism. Yeah, it is exactly what it preaches against, and I would say it's very bad at being anti-capitalist because it even though it says it's anti-capitalist, it's just it actually promotes capitalism. Again, that's something that I will be talking about, but I need to get my thoughts in a row for that. But it does lead back to the Legends comment of Vought not even being that good at it because people respond a lot to competence. If someone is corrupt but competent and is getting shit done, people care a little bit less than if someone was genuinely incompetent. Again, I know that's not a very good way to put it, but I will have to iron out my thoughts in regards to that. I think the show is realistic in its political commentary and the way it treats celebrity. I think it's more realistic than Marvel and DC. Yeah, Marvel and DC very much follow the typical superhero mold, but in terms of the show being realistic in its political commentary and the way it treats celebrity, I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. You're going to do videos on the MCU. I kind of fell out of love with the MCU, to be honest. I don't really know what I would say about it. Maybe I would do an MCU retrospective one day. Maybe I would, but I just don't have it in my heart to do it. The last thing that I had any kind of hope for was Daredevil Born Again, and the more I think about it, the more I didn't like it. So the only thing I had to talk about was the Punisher, and if he does end up getting his own show, maybe I'll talk about that. But yeah, I've just fallen out of love with that. I mean, he did the accent in the animated episode. Yes, yes. How many people watched the Boys Diabolical? That is exactly what the Boys TV show should have been. Garth Ennis all the way. I love Huey's reaction in the comic. Most funny thing I think, especially to the love sausage reveal. Yeah. Did Simon Pegg even want to be in the Boys? I don't know. Well, he was in it, so I'm assuming either he wanted to be in it or they paid him very, very well for it. So the boys comic, I read the whole comic. It's great. Show though isn't really what the comic was trying to tell or um, what the comic was trying to tell or what bugs you. Also, Huey reminds me so much of a Best Buy guy. He was kind of a one. He was kind of that guy at the start of the show when he was working in the equipment store. Uh, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't really know what that question was there. I think Young Justice Nightwing is very accurate, and Young Justice just undervalued. Kind of. Yeah, I don't really think they paid enough attention to him to properly characterize him either way. That's why I think the live action Titans show is worse than that. I think they more just if but most characters in Young Justice became plot devices. They became secondary to the plot. So, are there any other Marvel characters you plan on doing videos on? Not at the moment. Can't Can't really think of any. Not really. Again, nope, not really interested at the moment. Have you, speaking of Simon Pegg, have you seen Hot Fuzz? Yes, amazing. It's my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. Absolutely. If anybody in the chat hasn't seen Hot Fuzz, that is a recommend from me. Because that is what like quaint little villages in across this country are like. Except for the mass murder, of course. Heather worked really hard for me to hate Daredevil Born Again, but it still wasn't season two, so until that I don't happen, I can continue. Who hasn't seen Hot Fuzz? Yes, yeah, a crime if you haven't seen it. So, I meant to say that Huey's casting bugged me. Yeah, it bugged me too. Okay, I think I can tell you a lot about why it bugged me in terms of again because he was a Scottish character, but another reason it did bug me is because I think it hurt MM's character a hell of a lot more than it actually hurt Huey's character because Huey was kind of just he didn't really have a place. See, that was kind of part of his character. He was kind of floating around. He felt he felt mostly yeah, it didn't really matter where Huey ended up. But with MM, him being not only the only American on the team, but the only New Yorker on the team was a big thing. All the others, like they had ended up fighting Supes through run ins with them externally. If you look at the at MM's story, which by the way absolutely broke my heart, it was how his mum, she worked in the factories. She got really sick from handling Compound V. He obviously was and his brother were born with defects because of it. His father basically worked himself to death trying to basically get any kind of compensation. And this was his family, this was his community, this was his life and it was completely destroyed not by Supes but by Vought. That was why it was so important that he was the only American on the team because this is his entire life. This is his people. So yeah, that's actually why it bugged me that Huey was American because I completely removed that from MM's character. Have you watched the Bad Batch? Um, no, I don't want to. What do you think of Alan Moore as a writer? Absolute mad genius. Absolute mad genius, the man is. I don't really think there's any other way to describe him. I do think Constantine hit more of a stride when Jamie Delano took over and Hellblazer started. Alan Moore kind of only had like his idea in his head of a working class trench coat wearing magician, but yeah, Watchmen, totally amazing. Even the Killing Joke, which had some I think of some unfortunate choices, was amazing. Like the idea of just two two people who are kind of destined to end up killing each other, essentially, until one just says, I don't want to. And the whole idea of one bad day making someone insane, and is that true or not? So, yeah, Alan Moore, just I don't think any reasonable person could say that much bad against his writing except for a few choices, but that's neither here nor there. Haven't seen the Cornetto trilogy film, the zombie one. That was, what was that called? Shaun of the Dead? Yeah, it was Shaun of the Dead. Would you please read the War of the Bounty Hunter Star Wars comic? Okay, okay, I'll put that on the list. War of the Bounty Hunter, because my favorite Star Wars comic is Jango Fett Open Seasons, so I quite like that one. What's War of the Bounty Hunter about? Fair point about MM and Huey I never considered. Yeah, that's what hit me a lot about it. They messed up Mother's Milk, turned him into Love Sausage's toy. MM's character was lame. Soldier Boy elevates the soups. Unfortunately, can't say that about the boys. I have my opinions on Soldier Boy, but again, not fully formed ones yet. Yeah, MM is particularly important to remind people of the shameless corpos. But I feel that leads back to the original theme I feel of corporatization of superheroes. Yeah, well, in the comic, yeah, but in the show, it's kind of very secondary to his character. It's a kind of in the background. I don't really feel the impact the way I did with the comic. I think Young Justice would have been great if they just built off season one. Yeah, yeah, it would have done. Young Justice fell off from me because I read the comics of the first Young Justice and Teen Titans. Judas contract in year one. Young Justice from season one and to season two. It's a great show that fell off. Yeah, I don't think season two was that great. I don't think it was really bad, but it was far too plot heavy. They kind of just basically abandoned their characters to service their plot, which got worse as time went on, but at the very least in season two the plot made relative sense. So Bounty Hunter War was good. Actually, did you understand the ending of the Killing Joke the first time you read it? No, the whole idea of did if you're talking about did Batman kill the Joker in that comic, I don't even know if that was Alan Moore's intention or if that was just kind of something that came into fans' heads. It could be either or, but no, I didn't pick it up the first time I read it. You're right, and that's why I didn't enjoy the show at all. Yeah, I got bored very early. Yeah. So how do you feel about different portrayals of Starlight and Huey's relationship in the comic and the show? I think again, it's tied a lot to Annie's character and how they've kind of made her they've kind of made her a more of a role model character, which is why the show isn't actually that subversive. It leans more into the natural heroic superhero tropes. And so she doesn't get to be as flawed and vulnerable as she is in the comic, and that really, really bugged me. And their relationship again, I think, was just much more sweet, but also kind of tragic until they finally got themselves together. Whereas now it's kind of just they're just it feels like they're looking for drama in the show. Okay, what's now that they're together is the kind of sitcom situation. Okay, we've put Ross and Rachel together. Now that they're together, what do? We either break them up or we cause drama. So the drama seems manufactured in their relationship more than just a natural evolution of their characters and how they interact with each other. The show does corporatism well to a point where it became what the comic hated about corporatism. Yeah, I get. I'm trying to sort out that point in my head, but yeah, kind of. I think. I think the show is even in its good seasons, is quite surface level when it comes to its commentary. Not that surface level necessarily means bad or dishonest or anything, but I feel like the depth of the comic is just superior in every way. What's your favorite DC characters? John Constantine. I mean, Batman himself is not my favorite in terms of characters, but he does have the best comics and the best stories. So yeah, he's good. And basically the entire Bat family I love. I love Red Hood. I love Nightwing. I even like Damian Wayne. Tim Drake is kind of fallen off in the sense that I don't think DC really knows what to do with him anymore. So I don't mind Young Justice season 4. Everybody's allowed to be wrong sometimes. No, that's fine. I really think Alan Moore and Jamie Delano's work on Captain Britain is underrated. Tom Strong is Alan Moore. Okay, I haven't seen any of that. I'll definitely keep it in mind. Favorite version of the Hulk. I'm not really a fan of the Hulk, so I can't really comment on that. Are you a fan of X-Men 97? Not particularly. Not for any reasons that it's bad or anything. Just I prefer because the thing is I grew up with X-Men Evolution. That's probably the reason. I grew up with X-Men Evolution. I think that was actually the first comic book thing I ever watched. Before I was into comics actually, and then my dad came in, saw me watching it, and said, "Oh, this is based on a comic." And then he gave me all his old Thor comics to read, and that's where it all started. So, yeah, not pitting one against the other or anything, but yeah, I was just raised on X-Men Evolution. Show is playing it safe, trying not to upset the apple cart. Are you a Harry Potter fan? Not particularly. Never really have been. Not to say that I hated Harry Potter. It was one of those things that everybody around me was going crazy about when I was a kid, and I couldn't really get it. It was kind of like the same with the Twilight books. All the girls were loving the books, and I just was like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Basically, my childhood reading was comic books, Alexander Dumas, i.e., Count of Monte Cristo, Three Musketeers. I went through a whole swashbuckling phase, let's put it that way, and Jacqueline Wilson books, and she's basically a writer that predominantly a British writer that predominantly writes for preteen and teen girls. So that was basically what I read. I don't think Harry Potter is. Oh, Harry Potter was always bad, actually. But yeah, there was a lot of things in that. I just didn't. Just, just not a fan. Nothing against it, just not a fan. Very toothless criticism of corporatism. Yep, the toothless. That's a very good. That's a good word. I might steal that. Uh, Constantine sequel this year. Don't, don't. Oh god, no. It was. Oh, the first movie was so bad. No, the first movie doesn't exist. It never existed. Are Batman and John Constantine friends? I would say no, but I think they both respect each other and kind of see each other as really good planners and thinkers. I think Batman would like to keep John Constantine in his back pocket. The 52 movies showed them rather respecting each other. Yeah, Alan Moore is an incredible writer when he says Rotor instead of Rotor in the interviews. Don't usually get into shipping, but I think Dick and Starfire are not the end game. There are too many signs that they wouldn't work. Yes, absolutely. Babs all the way. I think Dick and Starfire are very much, they love each other, but they don't. It's teen love. It's young love. It's something that once they grow older, they'll grow apart. Especially Dick. Like Dick is more emotionally withdrawn than he has been portrayed in recent years. He is an open person, but he can withdraw quite a lot. Three guesses who he learned that from. Ang Lee's Hulk shreds. I can't remember the last time I watched that actually. Evolution is super rewatchable. Yeah, I haven't actually watched it in years. I might check it out. Grew up with Wolverine and the X-Men. I think, did they only do one season of that, or is it two seasons? What's your favorite Thor run? Oh, again, it's been years since I've read those Thor comics. I kind of moved away from Thor. Like that was one of the first ones that I'd read and fell in love with, but my taste kind of evolved over the years, so I'd have to go searching through the old ones to give you an answer on that. I liked X-Men Evolution, yeah. X-Men Evolution, aka No Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey love triangle. That alone makes me appreciate it. Yeah, that I don't know why that was ever a thing. Batman or his Bat family, except Piss Boy Tim. What? What's wrong with Tim? Tim Drake is great. Tim Drake is very unique in terms of sidekicks. Like he sidekicks basically have two functions. They're either related to the hero or orphan. Tim had a very interesting start to being a sidekick. Essentially, like he was a boy who wasn't abused, but kind of neglected a little bit at home. His parents were always away. He had a wealthy upbringing, but he was kind of neglected. And he just took to following Batman and Robin around with his camera. And because he was so clever, he worked out who Batman and Robin were. And when Jason died, he saw how off the rails Batman was going and basically came back to beg Dick Grayson to go back. But when Dick Grayson said, no, that part of my life is over, and also I don't think I'm really the right person to be helping Bruce right now. But Tim Drake is like, no, Batman needs a Robin. And if nobody's going to do it, then I'm going to do it. So, yeah, what's wrong with Tim? How dare you? uh, I didn't really like him because I like Damian Wayne's Robin is great. I like Damian Wayne's Robin. I really like Damian, but it, the part of what makes Damian Wayne's character great is the fact that he was terrible to begin with because he had such a terrible upbringing. So I don't think it's a case of do you like one or do you like the other because they don't like each other. But yeah, Tim's awesome. Uh, Vengeance is my love part of the book. I don't know. I had my Harry Potter phase, then I became older. Lord of the Rings is greater than Harry Potter. I think in terms of objective quality, definitely. But I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. I always found them really hard to read. And even the movies, I never really got into them. Again, some of the greatest films, probably the greatest film trilogies, The Godfather and Lord of the Rings, but they're not for me really in terms of I'm not a big fantasy person in general, but nah, just not for me. Did you watch X-Men 98? It's amazing. I know a lot of people don't like the original, but things. Do you think you might like 93? I honestly couldn't tell you. I've got I don't really have any plans to watch it, so I couldn't really tell you what I'd think of it. I do like the X-Men, but really more like a nostalgic fondness kind of thing. They're not really ones that I read on a regular basis. Batman is friends with Etrigan, pretty sure. Really? Okay. Barbara Gordon. Puppy Love, it's called. Yeah, Puppy Love. Yeah, Dickens Starfire, Puppy Love. 97 is heinous, goes against multiple storylines in one episode. Tim is best Robin. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe he's not my favorite of the Robins, but he is, I'd say, the best Robin. Like, fulfills that role the best. I'm a Damien enjoyer and I appreciate the Tim defense. Yeah, I don't know what again. I don't know what's wrong with Tim. How the again? I don't get. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are reasons to dislike him, but I think, like I said, he's the one of the most unique sidekicks ever created, and he has a really interesting motivation for being a superhero. He followed Batman and Robin. He saw how off the rails Batman was going, and he was like, Batman needs a Robin, and if nobody's going to do it, then I'm going to do it. Batfleck is the Batman who never met Tim Drake. Yeah, that's a good headcanon. Because if Jason's dead, if that's the timeline, if he went off the rails because Jason died, I can totally believe that that's the kind of guy he would have turned into if he never had Tim Drake. So yeah, that's good. I do think Ben Affleck didn't really get a chance to shine as a Batman. I really think that he would do well as an old, grizzled Batman, someone who's kind of at the end of his rope. Just finished the council chapter of the Lord of the Rings. Tolkien went full anime there with exposition. A low-key think an alternative take on Injustice where what if Batman killed the Joker after Jason's death would have been more interesting if what if the Joker nuked Metropolis. Yeah, I think Injustice they really wanted like a world war, like a group of superheroes against a group of superheroes. I think if Batman had killed the Joker, someone who doesn't have any superpowers and isn't capable of basically muscling the world into submission, I think Batman would have gone off the rails, but I don't think he would have taken over the world, essentially. So I think it was less about what they were going for. I don't think anybody knows what to do with Jason Todd. I think he would should have been a Nightwing villain. I don't think he should have been a villain. I think he should have been I think he's anti-hero material for me. Definite anti-hero material. Because I think trying to make him a villain was kind of stripping away all the really interesting and great work that Under the Red Hood did with him. That again, Under the Red Hood is one of my absolute favorites. That's one I forgot to mention. Under the Red Hood is awesome. So all the nuance was kind of stripped if you just make him an outright villain. Putting him against Dick, I don't think like him and Dick didn't actually have that much of a relationship. So I think he's just a much better antagonist for Bruce because he really brings Bruce's morality and the failings of his morality into light. Tim is good, but DC ruined how I viewed in later years. It's not that I don't like him; he's great, just doesn't hit as hard anymore. They turned him into the guy in the chair. Yeah, that's the thing. Tim Drake and Jason Todd are very similar in the sense that DC doesn't really know what to do with them. There's loads of characters DC just just doesn't know where to take, and that happens sometimes, which is unfortunate. Speaking of Babs, how do you feel about when they made it that she could walk again? I liked it from the perspective of I like this character and I'm glad something good happened to her. Yeah, I think she should have stayed as Oracle. I mean, I get why because the way she became Oracle was kind of because they didn't originally plan to make Killing Joke Killing Joke canon, and so Alan Moore basically just made it a plot point, and then they said, okay, we're going to make it canon now, and they're basically stuck like, what do we do with her? And they did something amazing with her, and giving her legs back doesn't really erase that, but it made her a unique character and gave her unique challenges and a unique perspective on the world. So again, now she's just kind of like, what do you do with her? So Tim Drake is the Robin who stepped up, absolutely. I want to see him as Daredevil again. Bernthal's chemistry. Who? See who is Daredevil? Maybe calling Tim Drake a fist point went too far. My bad. Though it's just not my cup of tea anymore. Old Tim, new Tim is bisexual. Nothing wrong with that. It's fine, whatever. Yeah, again, I think they just did that because they didn't know what else to do with him. It's like, what do we do? We give him a coming out story. We'll give him an identity story, which um again would have been fine if it wasn't just basically every fan fiction that's ever been written about any character that suddenly wakes up one morning and thinks, maybe I'm not as straight as I thought I was. So, yeah, it came across very fanficky to me. Somebody could have probably done something interesting with that, but nobody did. Tim has a boyfriend, yeah. Again, just a very bland. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Well, I do think Jason is an interesting character, especially when he was Robin, but he isn't my favorite. Also, Tim Drake best Robin. Yeah, I think Jason's time as Robin is fundamental to his character, but in terms of him just being a Robin, it's yeah it yeah I agree. I agree with you. I think it's good for his character, but in terms of him being a good Robin is really just nah, he's not. Feel like the last Batman I read was Hush. Hush isn't terrible, but it's not particularly good. If you like any recommendations, I recommend Serious House on Serious Earth, which, by the way, I keep putting in the polls for the Batman Halloween video essay, and it keeps losing. So yeah, read Serious House on Serious Earth. I think DC Comics need more hierarchy, more divisions, like the Justice League needs sub teams, second and third on command leaders, support staff, backup, and quarters. Yep, I think you could probably do something with that, but I think you probably need a reboot. And good God, they reboot enough. Can they just sort of clean their damn rooms? That's what the people in charge of these worlds need to do. They need to clean the damn room. They need to sort their own house, put their own house in order. Did anyone see Batman's bad plan? That video is a true ending to Under the Red Hood for me. No, I haven't seen that. Also, Red Hood has a point from uh, Unknown Grunt VA. That's just funny. You a fan of DC Animated Universe with Bruce Timm? No, I'm not. Not because it's not because it's bad quality or bad characterization or bad anything. There's just things about it that aren't really for me. I've never really liked Bruce Timm's writing. Again, not for any fault of his. It's just he doesn't grab me so much. Yeah, I'll don't really know how to further explain that, but it's not. But no, yeah, the DC animated universe not really for me. Great writing from a great team of incredible creators, but not one that I necessarily enjoy. Red Hood is hero material for me. DC Outlaws maybe see more into his character because Red Hood, in my defense, is better as an anti hero and a hero because it feels like the resurrection of his character. Yeah, I do feel like if you like, there are people who say Batman should kill, but they essentially just want to turn him into the Punisher. If you want a merging of Batman and the Punisher, Red Hood's it. He's there. Just that's what you do with him. Affleck is Daredevil. Oh, that's what you meant. Um, not against it on any principle level. Just I don't. Nah, I don't see it. Shame that Alan Moore gets criticism for the Killing Joke. He's done so many good stories despite that. I think the Killing Joke's still a great story. And I do get why. Like, it is kind of an easy way to kick your story into gear. Essentially, I think probably he had this story in his head. He had this idea, and he thought, okay, but how do you get it started? And also, I need to be shocking as well. You need to just shock your audience, wake them up, and get them to pay attention. But yeah, it is kind of a shorthand, a shortcut. So, but yeah, Killing Joke's still great, and Alan Moore's still a mad genius. So, think Nightwing becoming a cop in Chuck Dixon's run was interesting. Yeah, I like Dick Grayson as a police officer, like trying to do it within the law and out with the law. There's a lot of good stories you can do with that. Who do you think would be better suited as Batman, Dick or Tim? I think Tim would be better suited. I think Tim would be better suited in terms of like he's a better detective, but Dick would also be better suited for Bruce's ends because he's said before that he thinks Dick Grayson Nightwing is a clearer realization of what he originally intended Batman to be. But I think Dick has kind of moved on. They keep pulling him back, and that is like a big conflict for his character. But yeah, if I were to vote, I'd say Tim. I think he's more temperamentally suited to it. I think he would adjust to the role a lot better. DC were cowards; they didn't have the balls to make Tim Con canon. Yeah, I would have. That wouldn't have bothered me at all. Hush was good for the fact that it was the first time Killer Croc seemed more humanized. Yeah, why don't you say what you think of the Court of Owls? Okay, well, the Court of Owls I think was a big mistake. A big, big mistake because when you when you put an organization into your universe that is just so powerful, has its fingers in all the pies, knows everything, controls everything, you essentially write yourself into a corner where you have to kind of say, if you want to do a story that doesn't have the Court of Owls in it, still the Court of Owls has to be a factor, because if they are that powerful and they know everything and they're doing everything, then all of a sudden, if the Joker releases laughing gas into the center of Gotham and the Court of Owls is basically the shadow government of Gotham, you have to think about, okay, what are the Court of Owls doing about this? So that's basically the gist of it. You can't introduce something that powerful and far reaching without it basically touching every other area of your universe. And then they created the Parliament of Owls, which is not just in Gotham, it goes across the world. So now you're stuck with a shadowy organization that, unless the story is particularly about them, does nothing. Court of Owls doesn't work. It was a terrible idea. My father said Adam West is TV Batman. I'm like, what the fuck, Kevin Forever? What do you think of Cassandra Cain's Batgirl? Don't have strong opinions about her. I like Cassandra Cain. I like Cassandra Cain's character and her backstory, and I really like her friendship with Stephanie. I think their relationship is really great. Again, I really only see her in relation to other Bat Family characters. I haven't really read a lot of her on her own. Jason has potential, Dick has potential. Tim is difficult because of Jason and Dick. Jason and Dick take up more of Batman's time in the comics and media. Damian is very well great, but Tim lost his place. I think Tim lost his place like in a meta sense. I don't think he lost his place within the story, within the universe. Well, no, scratch that. He definitely did, because of when Bruce died and Dick had to essentially take a Robin and he chose Damian, and that kind of felt like he was being pushed out, which essentially they could have done a lot with, about him trying to find out where he fits within this family. But again, they just decided to give him a self-discovery story, which again is the most like lowbrow fanficky thing you can do. I enjoy Bruce Timm stuff. Rants of yours. Have you? No, I haven't watched The Bad Batch. The more I hear people call out the Bruce and Barbara thing, the happier I am. Oh God, fuck! Don't get me started on that. It's, oh, it's disgusting. It's a cursed ship. It is. It's not only cursed. It. They cursed. They cursed the ground and then they salted the earth behind it. It's I mean, not only did he know this woman from the time she was a child. Not only is she the daughter of his best friend, not only did she date his kid, his whether you want to say he's his son or his foster son, whatever difference that makes, she dated his kid, and then he goes and does that. And you see, I won't go that much further into Bruce Timm, but that is actually one of the major reasons that I don't like the DCAU and don't like Batman the Animated Series, because I actually saw Batman Beyond first, and the conversations that the Terry, what's his name, has with Barbara, and she's kind of saying that I still remember. Like actually, let me bring that up. Uh, Batman Beyond, Terry. Oh, Twitty. Terry and Barbara. Okay, so I think this is the conversation. Okay, there we
You
go.
and Dick Grayson, like, dated?
In college. Puppy love. Later on, we just never talked about it.
People should communicate more.
Dick finally got fed up living in Batman's shadow. He decided to leave. He was hurt when I chose to stay behind with Bruce.
As his partner. His girlfriend? Whoa.
Wipe that fucking smirk off your face, you horrible woman. Like, why did they write it like that? This should be one of the most shameful things she has ever done in her life. And it's like, were you his girlfriend? It's like, ugh, God, Tim, stop it. Like, and so I saw that first, and just it was I could I just couldn't reconcile ever liking that Batman ever again, because no matter, because he is a great hero, and but if that never happened, he is a great hero in Batman the Animated Series. He is great, but this is the kind of person he turns into. How the hell do you expect me to like him after that when I know this is the kind of person that he actually is? So, yeah, that's basically that kind of soured me towards towards Batman the Animated Series and Bruce Timm's universe in general. So it is a cursed ship. I do agree. It cursed and salted that ground for me. What's for you exactly in terms of your cup of tea? Do you love darker narrative stories with psychological themes and modern corruption? Yeah. I do like a lot of darker, more cynical stories, but I do appreciate the light-hearted stories as well. I do think both are very important. Maybe successor should be Terry. I'm not really fond of Terry, especially since I'm not fond of that universe in general, and Terry kind of only exists in that universe. The reason why they made Red Hood is the way because it made Huntress. That's kind of redundant. Yeah, maybe. Sarcasm coming. The Parliament of Owls orchestrated the destruction of Krypton. Yep. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Terry, yes, 100% Terry. We can all agree Terry is the one for Batman Beyond. Dick or Cassandra can fill up the Batman mold. No, like I said, I'm not fond of him. Terry can't exist in the current context of the DC universe or become Batman's successor because it wouldn't even make sense. Yes, and I hate the whole like what was it? Didn't it work out that he was actually cloned? It was actually Batman's son, because again they just had to make it relation for like some reason. Christ Almighty, I was unaware of this Bruce Barber thing. Oh, I am so sorry that I have exposed you to this. I am so sorry. Vomit inducing. Yes, just showed up. What's the plot? We were just talking about how Bruce and Barbara were kind of a thing in Bruce Timm's DCAU, and it's kind of disgusting, and we all hate it. Uh, as a man, tell me if I'm wrong. I think we need more women talking to each other as friends and more man and women in comics. Yeah, I agree. One of the big things that I really didn't like about like modern Harley Quinn was them pairing her and Poison Ivy together because they had such an amazing female friendship. And how many great female friendships do we have in comics outside of Birds of Prey? And also Stephanie and Cassandra. That was a good one as well. Okay, now I'm going to puke having my memories come. Batman Beyond his peak. I mean, again, I understand if you like it. Bruce Timm is a good writer. He just writes some, like it said, vomit-inducing things. So, Batman Beyond best intro. Personally, don't think Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy work as a couple. That ship ruined Ivy as a character. Yeah, that's the thing. Like they, uh, if she's still on this call, a very dear friend of mine said that it basically just turned her into this supportive girlfriend and removed all the nuance surrounding her characters, kind of the side character to the more quirky Harley Quinn. Great Shogun can die by seppuku. Bruce Barber, basically Batman being a straight up groomer. Don't think Tim work after Justice League, the animated series, and Barbara and Bruce thing is terrible, but all over, I think the rest is great. Yeah, like I said, got nothing against the man's talent. His judgments, I have something against. His talent, no. Uh, Batman Beyond is so overrated, and Terry exists as a product of the 90s Bat family. Yeah, again, I really don't like how many characters they pile onto it. I like Bruce, the four boys, and Cassandra maybe. I kind of like Stephanie and Cassandra as kind of like the extended Bat family, but I like Bruce and the four boys. Otherwise, I really like Batman Beyond. Terry got a comic where he was best friends with Constantine's Catboy student. I'm just gonna pretend I don't know that now. Yeah, the whole Terry and Bruce clone thing sucks, but that came way later. I'm noticing lately Batman's character has been written well by movie directors, writers, comic book writers, and even animators, except Batman Beyond. Ew. Fair lol. Terry was made because Waller used Batman's DNA to replace another man's reproductive material, i.e., sperm. Uh, wait, oh, I lost you. Where are you? Mhm. With Bruce's, so that he would get his wife pregnant with Bruce's son Terry and not his. Okay, ugh. Again, not going against Bruce Bruce Timm's talent here, but definitely going against his judgment. Totally agree. Ivy and Harley. Yeah, terrible idea. Bruce Barbership is just as cursed as Rogue and Magneto and the X-Men. Oh, yeah, that's another one. Ironically, Damien would come into existence only a few years after Batman Beyond to give Bruce a son, much more similar fashion. Laughing my ass off. Forgot which comic it was, but I like the interaction between Terry McGinnis and older Dick Grayson, the latter who explains why he cut ties with Bruce Wayne to spare his sanity. Wise move. Yeah. Batman Beyond comics are a fever dream. Yeah, there was that one comic where um what was it? It was basically explaining how Bruce got Barbara pregnant and then she lost the baby uh, trying to save a guy from getting mugged or something. Oh god, what the hell's wrong with some of these people? Yeah. Yep. Is it me or is the chat dried up? Or is it just kind of. Oh, no, there we go. Imagine a Scottish Batman. Oh god, that's a thought. I don't think it would work exactly. But yeah, that's a funny thing. Funny enough, Damian Wayne contradicts and doesn't even make sense in the timeline. Any expectations for James Gunn's upcoming DC on film outputs? Nope, no real opinion there. That Barbara pregnant comic is the best pro-abortion comic ever. If Bruce Barbara show happens, it should end Jim Gordon confronting Bruce with a shotgun. Yep. Gotta say, I was here for the boys discussion, but I'm loving this rigorous comic discussion. Yeah, I plan to start off with the boys. I was kind of going to use that video as kind of like a jumping off point again for why the show is kind of just shit. But once the conversation gets going, it gets going. So is maybe you guys don't actually need a conversation starter. You can do it all by yourself. So Russian Batman, yep. Imagine the Scotsman from Samurai Jack. Yeah, that's yeah, that's an image. Yeah, I'd only seen that one Samurai Jack episode. I think I saw the first couple, but we had Cartoon Network for a while when me and my brother were younger, but then there was a point in time where we couldn't really afford it anymore, so we stopped it. And I think that's around the time that Teen Titans was airing, so I missed that. Never watched Samurai Jack, but me and my brother were Cartoon Network kids, so there's a lot of really great shows that I just never watched as a kid that I kind of wish I'd seen. Question for you. I remember you saying you didn't resonate with Peter Parker, but what are your favorite stories of characters you don't like or find interesting? Hmm. Well, in terms of like, I would have to say that I don't like Frank Castle. I think I'm very much not a fan of him as a person. Absolutely enthralled with his character and everything interesting about him, but not particularly, him. However, I'll basically read anything that Garth Ennis writes about him. In terms of not finding interesting, mm, I don't, because I'm more of a character person than a plot focused person, I do think I have to at least find the characters somewhat interesting. So yeah, nothing nothing I can say on that front. Would you agree if DC knew their characters like Batman, we would have more movies and stuff? John Constantine could have been the new Doctor Strange. Yeah, I think I wouldn't agree with it being the new Doctor Strange because they are both magic users, but they're so wildly different. Like Doctor Strange is universe bending, bombastic, and just he's suited for the blockbuster kind of big screen. But I think Constantine, you can make movies with him. Definitely, you can make really good movies with him, although they never have, except for the animated ones. But I think he is more suited for a TV format because he just is kind of a guy, a con man who takes on odd jobs that fulfill the exorcist criteria. He is not an well, he can do exorcism. He's a demonologist. He's an exorcist, demonologist, and master of the dark arts. That's what it says on his card. Although I do remember him saying in the TV show, he says, "Well, that says master does it. I should change that to petty dabbler because I hate to put on airs." So, yeah, I think he's much more suited for the TV format. But we know Batman likes redheads. It was on Freeview. Oh, Genndy Tartakovsky is so good. Yeah, his Clone Wars miniseries, absolute top tier. Is the Scotsman from Samurai Jack a good representation of Scots? Surprisingly, kind of. Kind of, yeah. In an exaggerated fashion, yes, but yeah, he is. It's unfortunate it hasn't been explored as much, but I wish I had been there. But love the bond between Bruce and Kate, his cousin. Yeah, all muscly gingers. Yeah, I think Scotland actually has the largest per capita the largest population of gingers. Is it Primal season 2? Haven't seen Primal, me neither. Doctor Strange gave us Dormammu. I came to bargain meme. Yeah, that's a very useful meme. That was from Detective Comics Bat Family Feud. Have you read anything from the Ultimate Marvel comics? No, I don't think so. Do you have a fan cast for live action John Constantine, or are you still a Matt Ryan girl? Still very, very much a Matt Ryan girl. Would love to see him get that big break. He does him so well. But if I had to choose like a bigger name actor, what was the name of that guy who played the lead in the Kingsman movie? What was his name? Because he actually voiced him in the Sandman miniseries. And when I was hearing him, I was thinking he'd actually be a really good Constantine. So, yeah, him. Taron Egerton. Taron Egerton, that's his name. I know, that's his name. Taron Egerton. So, Matt Ryan would be my first pick, but if I can't get him, Taron Egerton. I rewatch his Clone Wars a lot. Yeah, I actually should watch it again. I think it's actually all on YouTube, or is it just the first volume that's on YouTube? Dick Grayson has a strong relationship to redheads like Jason Todd, Wally West, Starfire, Poison Ivy, Speedy, etc. There's a lot of redheads in the DC universe. Have you read anything from the DC Absolute universe? No. What are your thoughts on the Absolute universe? No thoughts. What sort of relationship does Batman and the Joker have by now? There's lots of shipping, but we know that won't work. I think it really depends on who's writing them. I think their relationship was really well portrayed in like the Arkham video game series. I think again, yeah, in order for Batman to have like an interesting relationship with his villains, that's the one thing that I will give Bruce Timm absolute 100% for. Like him giving Batman those really solid connections with his villains. That was really amazing work. Keanu Reeves? No. No. Yeah, thank you, Steve Master. No. Uh, the guy from Secret Solar Falls could do a great Constantine. Let me have a look at that. Mhm. Secret. What's the name of the character? Solar Falls. Preston Oliver. This guy? This guy? Okay, so I've never seen anything, but he's a wee babby. Like he's such oh he's a wee boy. Like what so so maybe I've never seen him do anything, but that's but yeah, I think there are things you can do with Constantine in terms of his younger years, especially with like the Newcastle incident. But yeah, I think your best Constantine is one who has seen shit, who has the wrinkles on his face, the smoke lines around his mouth, the tobacco stained fingers, the messy hair, the ratty trench coat. Yeah, I think you can't get someone who's too clean cut for it. Even as he was younger, like he was a punk. That's the thing. He's a big fan of the Sex Pistols. Really gotten into all the alternative magic stuff just as an escape from his crappy life. So yeah, I think you got to get someone who's a little bit more rough. Taron Egerton did a great job in the Sandman audio series. I've been sold on him then ever since. Yeah, I'd say he'd do a really good one. Seeing SW Rots in the cinema. Oh yeah, Return. Yeah, I was for a second there. I was kind of confused. Yeah, Star Wars Return Revenge of the Sith in the cinema, continuing the 2D Clone Wars was an awesome experience. Yeah, I did go to see that when it was re-released. Went with a couple of friends, some of whom are present and correct today. I don't know if they're still here, but um Yeah, that was a good experience because I never actually saw it in the cinema. I came to be a Star Wars fan kind of late in life, so um, seeing it in the cinema was a real experience. I really loved it. Yeah, it's a shame they didn't actually release Attack of the Clones because in terms of writing, that movie is probably the worst of the three. But I think it's actually I think it's not I'd say I don't want to say it's more entertaining than Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is definitely like the movie, my favorite one. But I thought Attack of the Clones was really fun. Like, despite how many problems it had, I thought I had a lot of fun watching it. Do you think the Injustice universe? Do you like the Injustice universe, and how would you feel if they did a multiverse story where Matt Ryan working with Keanu Reeves? No, Keanu Reeves is not Constantine. He is easy, very easy. He is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor levels of bad casting for that character. He's just a Wayne. Yeah, he's a Wayne. Baby Constantine, yeah. I suppose you could have a younger actor for the Newcastle incident, yeah. What's Bruce's age? Like he has over four kids. I think he kind of hovers around his late 40s when all four of them are present and correct. I think he kind of hovers around his mid to late 40s, but they always kind of avoid saying the ages in comics because it kind of just ends up becoming messy. When it first released, I saw Revenge of the Sith 7 times. Well done. But like early 20s. Other awesome cinema experience was Tropic Thunder. Knowing the actors' names at the time, I asked my sister, "Can we buy booties?" Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Tropic Thunder. I've seen clips of it on YouTube, but I don't think I've ever seen the full film. I'm more of a comic person. What are your thoughts on Invincible? As a comic reader, it didn't interest me. It's good, but comics are diverse. Swamp Thing, Batman, Rest in Peace, Star Wars Legends, etc. Yeah. Um, Invincible, fantastic comic book. It's not one that I go back and read again, or that I have any particularly strong thoughts on, but one I definitely enjoyed reading. Swamp Thing, I don't think I've actually read that many Swamp Thing. I've seen him appear in other ones, but I don't think I've read any of his specifically. Oh, yeah, there are countless Batman comics that I absolutely adore, and the Star Wars Legends. Like I said, Jango Fett Open Seasons is my favorite of the lot in there. What do you think of the recent Infinite Crisis films, minus the brainwashing of Iris West? I didn't watch them. I wasn't interested. Is the new release the same as digital? I don't know. Me being a Roman Empire nerd keeps having me imagine John Constantine as the Roman Emperor Constantine. I feel that would be completely hysterical. How many times do you think about the Roman Empire? You watch Tropic Thunder opening trailers, you'll understand. You'll understand. Um, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is good, yeah. Most things Alan Moore writes are good. I don't think come to think of it, I don't think I can actually point to anything he wrote that was outright bad. Anakin Skywalker, Patrick Bateman opened my third eye. Now I just need Constantine and then I'll be happy. On the topic of Invincible, I love the comic. Definitely superior to the less than stellar TV show, which I'm not a fan of. They poorly mishandled the portrayal of Amber. Yeah, I did see the what's the word, controversy surrounding that, and that was kind of, I mean, the way they did it was kind of stupid. They said, "Oh, I knew all along." Well, if you knew all along, then why did you act the way you did in previous scenes? It was like they put it in there for no reason. Understandable about the Infinite Crisis films, yeah. Comics are better in this case with Invincible. I have a lot of opinions on Constantine. Yeah, join the club. I have a lot of opinions on him too, but mostly positive ones in terms of the writing. He's one of my absolute favorite characters. Yeah. What Invincible comics better because they spend millions on voice actors, yet animation at times I cringe. Yep. Like I said, I can't really give many thoughts on Invincible. Like it's been a while since I read the comic, and I only really watched season one. I liked season one, but it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, I'm liking this, but I really don't have that much of a desire for it, if you know what I mean. Fact, when you read the comic, Amber's ending is so beautifully done. She and Mark are fun, cute blonde. Amber was not a ditzy dumb blonde. That wasn't the case at all. It's all made up lies. Yeah, I think a lot of writers kind of rewrite history in a sense to kind of justify their changes. They like again to do the controversial Star Wars Last Jedi one because it's the only thing that comes to mind right now. Don't want to start a absolute discussion about that in the comics, but it's the only one I can think of. Is that they say that they made this sweeping change regarding Luke Skywalker and his character, right? And then they say they wanted to do it because it was kind of like a meta rejection of the hero trope. Like we wanted to give him flaws. We wanted to make him more interesting. But you're rewriting history. Did you even watch the original three movies? He did have flaws. He was very very flawed. Yes, he did eventually step into that hero role, but you're condensing his entire character into him being the sage Jedi of Return of the Jedi. And even then, he's not a perfect person. If you go into Legends, you can see, yes, he has stepped into the role of the wise master, but he still has his struggles. He still has his feelings, but they are true to the character that he was. It was just kind of like they just had a meta idea of we want to do a takedown in a sense of the hero trope and show that heroes can be flawed, which is something that's never been done ever, showing how heroes can be flawed, and decided to make him someone who attempted to murder his nephew in his sleep. So, yeah, I do think that writers do tend to rewrite history quite a lot just to justify their own ideas. Uh, so don't mind Keanu Reeves' version. It's a multiverse, different universe thing. Sure, Matt's more comic accurate, but both are fun in their own way. No comment. Yeah, yeah. I just the movie is just such a. If it's trying to be an adaptation of the comic, which it definitely is, it fails in that sense. And there's no excuse for Keanu Reeves being constant. Again, Americanizing a character that did not need to be Americanized. I don't know, hot take as it is, I'm rather fond of Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Yeah, I don't think it was a particularly bad movie. I think it was pretty much a superhero movie of its time with all the tropes and the hiccups that go along with that era of superhero movies. Michael Clark Duncan was a great Kingpin. Yeah, I think he was really good casting, but he had flaws. Injustice Constantine, animated Constantine were a roller coaster ride. In the comics, Constantine is more complex. Yeah, Constantine is an incredibly complex character. Hubris when we walk away from his training for the right reasons. When we walk away from his training for. I'm a Last Jedi fanboy. That's why I said I don't want to talk about Star Wars earlier. Yeah, like I said, I only really brought it up because that was the only thing that came to mind. That writers seem to rewrite a character's history in order to justify their own decisions. He didn't want to murder Ben. That's a misconception. The third version of the event is obviously true. Yeah, but even in that one, I'm just gonna answer this one. But he in that version went into his nephew's room while he was sleeping, armed, looked into his head, got scared of what he saw, lit the weapon, raised the weapon, and then changed his mind. Again, imagine that in any other circumstance. I'm an auntie. I have a nephew. I go into my nephew's room with a weapon and just say, just again, I don't. Yeah, again, this is this is the one of those. What this is why this discussion gets so heated. There is no justifying that. It's insane. Lock that guy up for life. I mean, as someone who has a nephew, I don't fucking care if he changed his mind. I don't care if he didn't want to murder. He didn't want to do it. Well, tough shit. He went into his nephew's room while he was sleeping and raised a weapon to him. I don't care how sorry he is. I hate that shit. That's why they tried to do with Amber in the show, still having her know Mark was invincible, and yet she still made it seem like she didn't know. They were just trying to subvert. Yeah, it's an attempt at subversion. They wanted to add their own thing, and that's the thing about subversion. It's really good when you do it right, but if you fail hard, and it's like, why did you ruin something that was already great? Like you said, Amber and Mark in the comic were just they were just were like her story. It was tragic and it was good. There was no reason to subvert anything there. Didn't watch beyond the first new film. The other Star Wars films sound awful. Yet my journey as a Star Wars fan, I like my dad was a big sci-fi fan, but he was more like into like niche TV sci-fi. He's a big Trekkie. My granny's a Trekkie. She's Voyager lady all the way. And she and that he never liked Star Wars. So it wasn't a presence in our house. It wasn't something that was ever put on the TV. The first time I saw it was when I was doing fourth year media studies in high school, and that was the show that our media studies teacher showed us. And I thought, hey, this is actually pretty good. So I went and I watched the other two, and I liked them well enough. Again, not well enough to become a fan, actual, they're like in the way I am with other things. I didn't watch the prequels because I'd heard everybody say they were bad. But then when the new films came out, I knew my friends were going to want to see them. So I thought, hey, let's catch up on the prequels. So I watched them and I liked them. I thought, hey, these are good. These are fine. I mean, they're not. I mean, they've got problems, but I don't get why people hate them. And I watched the first of the new movies. I thought it was reasonably fun. And then Last Jedi, I was just like, what the actual what the actual hell was that? Although, yeah, the just and I didn't watch Rise of Skywalker. I still haven't watched Rise of Skywalker, and I don't really intend to. So yeah, that's the only reason I even became a Star Wars fan was because I watched The Mandalorian, and I really liked The Mandalorian, which by the way has its own problems in writing. Absolutely has its own problems, but it kind of was very easy to fall in love with. And then that kind of just sent me down a lore rabbit hole and picked up like so many other things about Star Wars that I just fell in love with it, and now I'm a full blown fan. So right, so we're starting to slow down in chats just now, so I'll finish off here. So it's almost 10 o'clock now, so I'll finish off these chats here, and then we'll say good night and we'll say thank you for joining us. So let's make it through here. Where were we? Where were we? Okay, so didn't watch beyond the first film. Back to the boys. How far is the show from the comics right now in terms of themes? Oh, it's on the moon in terms of being. Yeah, the comic is on Earth. The show is on the moon. That's it. They're. I think they want to try and recreate Garth Ennis's themes. They're just not. They're just not doing it very well. There's a lot of political talk around it. I feel as though it's always been there, but where are we going now? Uh, there's a lot of political talk around it. I feel like that's always been there, but yeah, but it's not very good commentary. Like it's kind of just finger pointing at things instead of actually making comments on them. And Kripke kind of has the nerve to compare himself to South Park, which is actual commentary. Luke Skywalker losing faith in the Jedi would have worked had it not been Rian Johnson writing it. Instead of blaming the Jedi Order, he should have taken accountability for his own mistakes. That's not my take on it, but I get what you're saying. Jedi always carry their lightsabers, yes, and then he also lit it and raised it. Fella, as I said before, the show is very careful about the criticism, very light in its political talk compared to the comics. Yep, definitely. Um, upon retrospect, The Force Awakens was far worse than The Last Jedi. Yeah, and I think you say that the Luke Skywalker losing faith would have worked had it not been Rian Johnson writing it. I think probably you're right there, but at the same time, I think a lot of the blame can be placed on just the lack of plan. They had no plan. Like George Lucas, whatever you think about the prequels, whatever you think about anything he's done, he had an idea. In the words of Nick Fury, there was an idea, and he saw his idea through. He always did, and if it was his, he knew what he wanted to do, and for the most part, I think in the broad strokes, he achieved what he wanted to do and gave us something great, however flawed. And but with this, they didn't really know what they wanted to do. And also, I think the reason why history won't look as kindly on the sequels as they will the prequels is because the prequels were made for, like George Lucas said, it's a film for 12-year-olds. It doesn't mean that not everybody can love Star Wars, but it's it was he got the target demographic. People who loved the original trilogy and didn't like the prequels, then they essentially uh, gave their opinions. They weren't great ones, but then when the kids who loved the prequels grew up, they say, "Hey, no, we loved these as kids," and now it has that generation of fans. The sequels were not made for the new generation of Star Wars fans or to make a new generation of Star Wars fans. They were made to capture the attention and the wallets of pre-existing Star Wars fans. So yeah, you're going to get their money, but you're not building a new fan base. I think The Force Awakens is coming up for its 10th anniversary. Where are the kids who went to see that as kids coming out and defending it? Maybe they'll come out in the next couple of years and we'll see a new perspective from a generation who loved it, but I doubt that will happen. Luke, or should I say Jake's? Yeah, that's a meme. Referring to his lightsaber as a laser sword was cringe. Uh, where am I? I'm always losing my place. There's a gulf of a difference between the comics and the show. I assume you're talking about the boys, absolutely. As a comic reader, we even have the same subscriber count. The chat is more active than my lives. Oh, yeah, I think I did. I think the most that was on today, was 18 people. So that's a lot more than I expected. Um, let's see. Also intentional. And this is supposed to be the same Luke who believed that his father still being Darth Vader. Again, these are points that I've heard before, and I've made my opinion on them perfectly clear. Uh, what was your dad in? Was your dad into Blake's Seven? I don't think so. No, because if it was, it would have been on the TV. My close buddy is a hardcore Trekkie. She hates Star Wars, but both she and her dad are old school Trekkie fans, and she's in her early 20s. Haha. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm definitely not a Trekkie, but it's one of those things that I wouldn't turn it on myself. But when I was in the living room with my dad, I would always kind of watch it. I'm a Star Wars prequels enjoyer. Grew up with them. Yep. Rise of Skywalker, the horror, the horror. Same here. Grew up with the prequels. Never seen it in theaters twice. I've seen all in theaters twice. The Phantom Menace. as a writer. That's why I don't write superheroes anymore. No, I tell a lie. I stopped watching after CGI Peter Cushing. Oh yeah, Tarkin. Yeah. Somehow Palpatine returned. Oh yeah. Somehow he did. Oh, okay. Like since there's still four of you here, I want to show you guys something. If I just need to show you guys something if you haven't seen it. Blunt Brothers Productions. I don't know if you've heard of these guys. They are so funny. They are
I
so
call it a
funny,
rug.
and it's their High Ground series.
Good, good. Give in to your hatred. Feel your anger. Makes me all tingly.
It is meaningless to resist. Well, I guess that's it. Fight's over. You won. You did it. Good job. GG.
What? You can't just give up. Go get him.
But high ground.
High Ground.
And for Pete's sake, I know, but use the gun, you melon.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, go get him down. Shoot
Okay.
him. Shoot him already. What? Hey, that's my father's gun.
We've been over this. I am your father.
Nuh-uh.
This is exactly what he did last time.
Vader,
What?
please shoot him.
Right now?
Yes, do it now. Do it. Yeah, do it.
My son. I missed.
Ah, you're useless. He's 10 feet away.
It was the wind.
We are inside.
Then how did the wind get in?
Just shoot at him again.
America! I got pretty close that time. That was my last shot, by the way.
Why do you only have 2 bullets?
No, I have 0 bullets.
I can't. I'm this close. I am this close to saying a slur.
You know, my dad would have brought more bullets.
I'm literally your dad!
You'll never be as good as him! Silence! You are delaying the inevitable, young Skywalker. Your cringe rebellion will be crushed and the Jedi will be no more. You will accept your destiny that you, like your father, are mine. He is not my father!
I am your
Listen
father!
up, you great
father!
Jedi!
How many times do I have to say
I
it?
hate you! Just get him down from there!
But the gun is empty!
Then throw your lightsaber at him, you muffin!
Oh, fine! It's a valid crash out.
Why do I have to do everything myself? I'm tired of this stupid family. Oh, that's good.
All right, fine, you're my father. Just help me.
You underestimate my caliber! Oh, that was kinda easy.
Strike me down.
Luke, I redeemed myself by shooting an old man.
Didn't you murder children?
Just a couple. Yeah, there's no way you can survive that. Luke, remove my helmet. I want to see you with my own eyes.
Could I put it back on?
I'm so proud of you. You are the new Darth Vader.
Oh. No.
Rule my empire well. Tell my story. A tale of light versus dark, good versus evil. A timeless story about wars in the stars.
What?
Whiny little wiener he was.
What? I'm literally right here.
Here it comes. And somehow he did. Yeah, check them out. They're incredibly funny. You know what? Trying to discover Warhammer 40k rabbit hole, anything, just not talk about Star Wars. Yeah, I kind of have seen a few videos about Warhammer 40k, and it does sound really interesting. I do like kind of lore heavy, kind of world building things, but it is a lot. It is a lot to get into. So I might dive into it. If anybody has any recommendations of where to start with that one, do definitely tell me. I mean, we're not going to talk about Star Wars. It's always tiring to me. I was going to say I'd watched Last Jedi before the prequels most of the time, but I love the prequels. Hate Disney Lucas instead of I hate Disney slash Lucasfilm instead of trying to do something original. They reacted to the fans. Definitely true. Definitely true. That's like what I said. Like they didn't make something for the new generation of Star Wars fans. They made it to capture the wallets of the old ones, the only pre-existing ones, and that's why Star Wars doesn't really have any momentum anymore because the next generation that was meant to be captured by those ones are just kind of they're not there. New movies plagiarize the book so they have no merit. I would say they do definitely take a lot from the legends, but just don't do the legend stories justice. Important political imagery from Star Wars trilogy completely lost in the new trilogy. Yeah, the new trilogy doesn't really seem to have any view on the world. The only one of them that actually had anything to say was Last Jedi, and that was more of a meta commentary, a poor one in my opinion, but a meta commentary on the nature of heroes. And Ryan Johnson, you ain't Garth Ennis, so leave it to the pros. So George Lucas has been record on record comparing the Rebel Alliance to an allegory for the Vietnamese. Yeah, I did hear that. You more of a Lord of the Rings girl or Harry Potter? Neither. Uh, Also, I take the sequels anytime over Yu Zhang Vong's. Yeah, I haven't actually read a lot. I've read a couple of them because most of my Legends material is like in the past, like pre-prequels and prequel era. I've only read what have I read in terms of looks of the new ones of the ones with Luke. Yeah, again, the timeline of those things is so hard to put together. Yeah, I can't remember, but I really need to read more of Legends Luke. So who's going to bed now? Yeah, I'm going to bed too. I'm just making my way through the rest of the chat. Sleeping schedule is worse than Tim's sleeping schedule. We've been talking for 1 hour. Uh, this deal is getting worse all the time. Sidious definitely needed a new apprentice. Choose an apprentice in haste, repent in leisure. Poor David Prose. Ever see Racist Mario? It's hilarious. Never seen it. Force Ghost thingy were bullshit to me. Were always bullshit to me. Force Awakens series made it worse. Tries to start with the Horus Heresy. I know it has about 70 books, so I just mean on the surface level. Yeah, so yeah, I'll try that. I'll try it with the Horus Heresy. Although right now I'm actually also reading Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. That's kind of my foray into fantasy. I'm on book 3 right now, so I'll try and make some time for the Horus Heresy as well. There's a lot of books. Have you seen Skeleton Crew, Muppet Treasure Island, Hey Arnold style writing? Uh, yeah, I did. No, I watched the first episode of Skeleton Crew. I don't think I watched the rest of it. So yeah, okay. So that's me off to bed. I think that's a good time to stop. Thank you everyone for joining in. It didn't really go to the plan that I had, but I think this was a really good successful stream, except for the hiccup that we had at the beginning. But thankfully, now that I know where every button is, I might be able to. I might be able to do it better next time. The next time I do it. So yeah, I did originally plan to bring up some topics as conversation points, but you guys pretty much carried the entire stream with the conversation. So thanks very much for being here. That was more people than I really expected. I had a lot of fun. I really want to try doing this again. Let me know if you'd want to see it again or the kind of things to talk about I would like to go over some things that I see on YouTube because there's a lot of things that I see there that I would like unrelated people's opinions on. But yeah, I'll stop there. Mort was my favorite. Yeah, I'm on number 3. I think Mort is number 4, so that's the next one I'll be watching. Anyway, before I start rambling again, thank you everyone for being here. Have a good night, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.